In progress. Perfect. Hello, all the Wolfers out there who are watching and are not on the call right now. We are going to get started. So let's head over to the next slide. So, why would we diversify our outreach strategies? I'm talking to professionals here, okay? So I don't really need to get into the why. I think you all already know. But just for folks who might not think it's important to maybe try something new, we do it because it's important. It allows us to reach a wider audience in different demographics across different platforms, increases your visibility, engagement, and potential impact through various different communication preferences and forms to reach diverse audiences. It all relates. When you diversify your outreach strategies, you're allowed to reach different people. And I think that's really important to all of you who have been looking to gain new members. So how this is going to work is I'm going to go through each outreach strategy that you can use so folks can kind of learn a little bit more about what possibly could work for them and what doesn't. And then also we'll have moments as well where we'll talk about what are some of those things that you've used for your branch you could possibly share with the rest of the group. Okay, so I know in this situation, I'm talking to some pros, some organizers who have been doing this for a very long time. My hope is that I'm able to tell you a little way to change the strategy behind these different forms of outreach. So I know you all know that hosting educational events like lectures, panels, and workshops on local issues or global conflicts with your community and partners is really important. I know you already know that educational events is really important, but one thing I've been interested in kind of exploring with you all is maybe hosting a panel or a workshop that includes the branch members that are already existing in the branch per se. You all are a gold mine of information. And I know sometimes it can get really difficult to schedule lectures or panels or even workshops when you have to reach out to speakers and find these different places in which these events could be hosted. There are ways that you can modify or make things easier for each branch that revolves around your comfort level. Having an event at someone's home, utilizing the libraries, local community centers that typically have discounted rates for 501(c)(3)s and 501(c)(4)s is really beneficial if you're trying to schedule or create an educational event. In addition, using your branch members as panelists can be a great idea to find ways to give information out, increase members, while also not breaking the bank, hiring or getting a panelist there, but also recognizing that you all have had decades of experience in organizing and have an incredible story to share. Another outreach strategy is finding cultural festivals and connecting with diverse communities by hosting a booth or participating in local events. I've worked on different organizing teams where we've had a team of one person and a team of 10 organizers in one space. And the way that I was able to help out a team of just one, when it's just me, was finding different cultural events around my area that I possibly could host a table at. I'm sure some of y'all don't always know about all the diverse holidays that are a part of the year. There are some holidays that you might not even know about. And DEI calendars that show you a list of holidays you could possibly find events on can be super, super beneficial. So when I was working in queer organizing, we led multiple events throughout the entire year around events I didn't even know that existed. So International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia was May 17th. Not May 7th. Yeah, May 17th. March 31st was the International Transgender Day of Visibility. November 20th was the Transgender Day of Remembrance. All these DEI related calendar events or just holidays could be something that you could find events around, in which we did. We found tabling booths and places that you could go and talk with queer organizers in the area that were just in Mesa, Arizona, right down the street. So I have a list of DEI different calendar events that you can look through and find different days throughout the year in which maybe you could host an event around. For example, February 11th is coming up, and that's the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. A day that's not really celebrated all the time by everyone, or not everybody even knows about it, but it's something that you can look into. And then last, our volunteer activities, which I think you all do best really, really well. I've heard a lot of folks on this call when I speak with branch chairs have used peace vigils, letter writing campaigns, or community cleanups that have been super helpful to actually gauge new members. So I wanted to open the floor and kind of ask everyone on the call, what are some community events that you've hosted with your branch that have been successful? Anyone can speak up. You can use either the sound or your chat. I know someone here has a successful event that they've used because I've talked to you. So I know someone here does. Well, I know I can give examples too for other people, but I want folks to share their own. So it's up to you. I see Laura has her hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, it was something that Will participated a long time ago, but there used to be annual Women's Day bazaars. And these would be a huge event where they'd rent a hall, multiple women's organizations would rent a hall, have tables, vendors, and activities and music, and they were a lot of fun. So that's something that I would like to see come back. But it, at least in Detroit, hasn't happened in quite a while. But that was on March 8th.
A bazaar? What is that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's an old-fashioned term for where you would set up the tables and you could sell baked goods, made items, anything you wanted. Every group could sell whatever they wanted, and sometimes you'd have a kitchen open, sell meals, for example. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, a lot of organizations used to have what they call bazaars. And it was just you usually centered around food, but also it allowed different organizations to present their pamphlets and sell things.
Interesting. That's awesome. Barbara, I see your hand up.
Yeah, Greater Phoenix has an event every year for Hiroshima Day, and we open it to the entire peace and justice community. And sometimes it's been really well attended, and we've had speakers, and other times we've just talked amongst ourselves about the relationship between what happened in the bombing of Hiroshima and what's going on today. We've also tabled at MLK Day events and at the ASU Forum and Festival, which used to be called the Teach-In, and sometimes even hosted speakers at various events.
That's awesome. And it's around a very significant event that you're hosting around, which can definitely recruit new and get your current members out. I see Jan and then Eileen.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about one that we have coming up. We're gonna be part of our lobby day, Iowa Alliance for Responsible Ag Lobby Day on February 4th. And we talked the other night, and Lori and Carolyn and I, and I think one other person was with us that night, but we're going to be singing a Raging Granny song as part of the presentation when we have our the formal lobby day where we do this speakers, etc. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to be singing Home on the Earth to the tune of Home on the Range. And then I was glad Mary Beth, I wanted to come in. Mary Beth talked about, we've had our Strong Feisty Women Awards in the past, and guess who we gave an award to one year? We always had a national winner and someone from our branch that we wanted to honor, and also someone that with some from another organization, like we did Winona Howder one year from Food and Water Watch, and lots of other famous people. But Mary Beth was one of our Strong Feisty Women awardees one year. So thanks, Mary Beth, for bringing that up. And then for finally, I'm going to put a picture of this. when I'm down here in Tucson, which we are right now, the branch here does Don't Buy War Toys event. I'm gonna find a really cool picture and put it in the chat, so be sure and watch for that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Eileen and then Gloria.
Okay, well, I have to admit, our branch has not done many hostings, though one that I remember vividly is one we had at now deceased home of Joan Eckline, who invited, as she often did, people to her house. In this case, they were Palestinians. This is, before the war. And well, the current war, actually, there's been war going on for ages. And I must say the goods that they came, they were so beautiful. I tend to be frugal, or some people might say cheap, I don't care. And I got one beautiful purse that's so beautifully and sturdily made that I'm still using it for my cell phone. It's really very beautiful. And I too have something that's coming up here at Boston Branch, so I might as well share that into our horn. Boston is having a kind of a conference gathering on February 8th. Sorry, Mary Beth, it's the same time as yours with your retreat. It's going to run from 10 to 4 at the Jamaica Plain Library. And the topic is colonialism and money in today's world. In the morning, we'll cover the 5 indigenous bills that are in our Mass legislature, followed by member Julie Kabukani talking about about the colonialists after minerals in the Congo. And she'll go on to talk about migration of the Congolese to Massachusetts, to her hometown of Brockton. And then we're having action activities after all speakers, like writing postcards to be sent to our legislators. In the afternoon, we're covering the Middle East oppression of women and of course, militarism. And that will be headed up by another member who is a scholar and teaches. She's Dr. Val Mogadan from Northeastern. Also, we will be discussing actions and have a short talk on public banking and degrowth. And that degrowth talk is by author Jason Nichols, whom the Women, Money, and Democracy read his book. It's called Less is More, which I recommend if you haven't had it. A lot of good stuff in it. And we actually have a snippet of him talking for about 10 minutes in the EU Parliament. And he does such a concise way of putting all the pieces together. We're going to use that too. And follow up with some actions, or at least planning some actions. We've been busy. I'm hoping it'll help us grow. It's a challenge because libraries don't have things fixed very soon and quickly. And I found out recently we've got some electronic problems. I'll have to, use a backup system. That's my story. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Eileen. And that is a wonderful event. I'm looking forward to it. I wish I could make it too. And Gloria.
Well, you know what our next event is.
Yes.
We're so looking forward to our first event. This is getting the younger generation involved. Very important work, I think, for any branch. And we are working with the University of Arizona Women and Gender Resource Center. And they've been really, really supportive, put all of our PR into their newsletter. And just the last day or two, we've been designing our peace game. We're doing a peace game evaluation for computer instead of war games, peace games. They are out there and they need to be made more important, visible for change because people will opt to play them. I think a lot of people just don't know. They're very exciting and they are just not about killing and war. So we're going to have a pizza party and evaluate a peace game, and there will be participation awards or something. So that's coming up on January 24th at the University of Arizona.
Thank you, Gloria. That's perfect. And I'll be there. I'll be there for that
Yeah,
one.
and you're going to be one of us.
I will. Well, thank you all for sharing. I really appreciate it. I wanted to go back to that slide one last time if I can go backwards. There we go. Okay. So I just wanted to say two last things. I brought up cultural festivals because one of the things I noticed as someone who was organizing an LGBTQ plus related reform around the legislature, I found that celebrating these not always known holidays was really wonderful for the communities that I was serving. So I will have a list of holidays in which you can plan events around because marginalized and diverse communities deserve celebration, and it also can tie deeply into the work that you're already doing, which can be around peace, justice, liberation. So I really would love for folks to check that out. In addition, there's one other thing I wanted to say about that too. Um, well, I will insert the website. Oh, and this is the other thing too. I have found an abundance of places to table at through Facebook. And I know I don't like Facebook, okay? I'll just say that right now. I know a lot of us don't like Facebook, but the Facebook events page has a wide range of events and tabling options. I have made an abundance of connections through events I never thought I ever would. I attended like I think it was some kind of rope club meeting. They made knots, sailor knots and Girl Scout knots and all of that stuff. Anyway, I ended up just going and I found an abundance of people I connected with just through finding different events that might not always align, but are possible for you to make a new connection. So just wanted to say those two things. I will send them out to everyone to take a look at some dates and events or holidays that aren't always celebrated, like February 11th, the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Okay, we're going to move on quickly to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about the second outreach strategy that revolves around media and communication. However you communicate with your branch, it's important to keep recruitment simple but consistent. I know it's really easier said than done, but sending out reminders 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 hours, whatever, how long you're sending them out to let someone know about an upcoming meeting or about an upcoming event, it can be difficult to manage that. So there are an abundance of online services and platforms that will send out those reminders for you automatically. I was really, really amazed by the San Jose branch that had a website called Meetup already set up for their branch members where they get active reminders before the meeting through the website. That'll send it out automatically. In addition, in that reminder, it'll also include the Zoom link in which you have to use to get onto the meeting. So it includes a majority of what you need and can be able to take off some of the weight from you to be consistent with those reminders. It's a great way to use a platform and use a communication service, making your life a little easier. There's also some other engagement things that you can possibly use to outreach and meet new people. Let folks, when you meet them for the first time, give their opinion on what food that you'd like to have at the meeting, or what the agenda could possibly look like for the next meeting. Giving some autonomy to folks through an interactive poll, something that I also am still using to this day and still perfecting. But something like that can be really helpful to kind of make someone feel home and fold them into WILF in a nice way. And then also, last but not least, local media partners. And when I say local, I mean local. I imagine a lot of you know about op-eds and letters to the editor, but I also think it's been very helpful for me to reach out to new families or to new people. So through previous jobs that I've had to really target a specific person or a specific audience, particularly like mothers who have children who are struggling in the education system in Arizona. And to do that, I think something like an op-ed or a letter to the editor would be something that would be really beneficial to meet those folks where they are at. but it wasn't successful through something like the Arizona Daily Star, a huge news source that reaches tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people across the state. Not necessarily the most effective because that's just too big of a range. So now I'm thinking, okay, how can we go even more local? If you particularly wanted to target youth or youngins, you could target a specific news source in Tempe, a place where there are a lot of young people. There's the Tempe Independent. There's also the Your Valley Tempe online newsletter, which would also be option. And if you want to also then maybe particularly get even more local. So for example, if I was trying to target like I have before, moms looking out for their kids in the education system, I looked at neighborhood news sources, ones that just go around a certain district of a neighborhood. That can even be more effective. So I love the idea of op-eds or letters to the editor because it really helps you kind of get to that audience you're particularly looking for. And I think, especially with them being free, not the op-eds, but letters to the editor, it's easier to get them there if you know that person or if it's local. The more local it is, the easier it is to get it published. And I think that's something that everyone could possibly use. Okay. I think on the next slide, I had some questions. So I'm going to look through the chat really quick and see if I'm missing anything. Um, yes. Nice. I see from, yes. So Mary Beth, I see your question about how to identify local bloggers. That's a great question. One of the things that I have used in the past, so it's a really good question. Sometimes it's kind of like if you're in the rabbit hole, sometimes these people just kind of pop up out of nowhere and you end up finding them when you really dive deep into it. One thing I've used a lot of actually to find really niche specific things is a website called Reddit. I can get into the nitty-gritty of things, but there are some ways that you can find some popular bloggers or maybe an author you could possibly send an update of Wolf US 2. I can look more into that for you and send you some information about that. And you are right, there aren't as many local neighborhood newspapers, but they definitely exist. And if you look for them, you can definitely find them, and it might be really beneficial for the branch. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide. Oh, well, let me ask everyone, are there any questions that anybody has? Okay, perfect. So,
Yeah, I just, something Laura put in there. What is a block club newsletter, Laura?
Okay, so I don't know. There's some cities they really have a lot of black clubs in them. Detroit's one of them. There was a black club I was in that had 5,000 homes in it, and we had a monthly newsletter, and local businesses would place ads in it. So maybe organizations could also place ads. Some black clubs do have printed newsletters, but not all.
Okay.
thank you.
That reminds me that, well, Nextdoor was keeping track of some of the, I guess you'd say, gossip and things that are going on around my place. But now half of it is ads. It's very annoying.
It can be pretty annoying, but honestly, they're pretty effective too. I, at some point, would like to go over advertisements and how to do them cheaply. Facebook ads are pretty cheap overall, so it's definitely something I want to explore with y'all and show you how to do if you'd ever be interested in them. They can be very effective in getting folks to an event of some kind, getting them signed up, especially if some part of it is free. So, heading on to the next slide. So a lot of this you might have done before. I'd like to show y'all or talk a little bit more about this in depth and maybe give you some new ideas. that possibly work for you. So collaborating with other organizations. I know y'all have done this. Partnering with local advocacy groups, faith-based organization, or even unions to cross-promote initiatives. I know y'all have been doing this. I know I do hear a lot though. How do we do this without kind of stealing from their organization, while also bringing them into the fold? That can be something that's kind of tricky to walk on. So I think it's best to always look even outside of just the scope of peace related efforts. Faith-based organizations, unions, those groups might find it really interesting to get into peace related efforts because they're not in it at the moment. So maybe working with organizations who aren't doing peace justice work, maybe aligned in some way, could be a great way to not steal someone's thunder and provide a new perspective to the folks who are there. Inactive member engagement. So Chris Wilbeck has a list of all of the members that have been in the WILF branch that you're currently in from probably as maybe 2022 and before, but it's a long list of folks. These are members who have lapsed, they are inactive, and sometimes they just need a personal phone call to get them back in. So one thing I recommend to all the branches is to email Chris Wilbeck and ask for that list of former members. I've been doing some calls, for example, the Sacramento branch, and I hopped off a call last week with someone who restarted their membership, who just moved and forgot about WILF for a second and just needed a moment to kind of catch their breath moving into a new city. And next thing you know, they're back as a WILF member. So I really recommend it because it's something that can be really beneficial and actually get folks back in. A lot of them will be disconnected numbers. I'm not going to lie to you, but you might find 2 people who might be interested in coming back, and that's a big win. Third, youth outreach programs, creating programs for younger generations, such as campus branches or internships. Big shout out to Gloria for starting the U of A branch. And also there's Ava from the Miami branch who's working on youth outreach. That is super, super important. So you could even assign someone in the branch to cover youth and to be more of a youth active member, someone who's currently focused on recruiting younger members. If you wanted to, that could be you reaching out to the local colleges and campuses to get on those local newsletters. Gloria currently is on the Women, Gender, and Resource Center newsletter. And those are sometimes really, really, really beneficial. And I see Barbara's comment too. We should pay attention to the women who are here from other nations which are in conflict. Absolutely, that's also a great point too. So youth outreach is something that we're definitely working diligently on. As we continue through all the trainings, we will have some more ways that we can connect with those youth. And then lastly is an introduction kit. So I'm not talking about the folder that you get when you become a WILF member. I know you get a folder that has everything included in it with a pamphlet, some information. I think it would be really beneficial if a branch also had a folder, a Google Drive folder with an introductory email that the members can copy and paste to send out to someone who they think could be a wonderful addition to the branch. It could have the information on a meeting timeline, how to join, and the instructions on the website for the WILF US, I think /renew. Having a Google Drive where someone can come to who's a member who might not feel like they're the most confident to speak about the story behind WILF, why they're involved, maybe not feel the most confident in that area. If they could have a kit, a Google Drive, they can copy and paste things and be able to share them out with members they think could be a great fit, it would really help folks recruit new people. So, oh, yes, I can find that too. Tara, do we have a one pager or can you point me? There is our mission statement and vision statement on the website. We're going to talk about that actually in a few slides from now. 702. Okay, so I'm going to send out to you all as well an introduction drive, a folder that you can copy and paste and use yourself for your own branch. It'll have branch bylaws that you can copy and paste and change the branch name to, something that Jan helped me work on. It'll also have an email introduction that you can have your branch members copy and paste and send to potential members that they think could be a great fit. It's something that's just really easy for folks to copy and paste things. They don't have to kind of wonder, oh, what do I say to this person to get them involved? Here's a little sheet you can possibly give out to someone who could give them everything that they need to know. Okay. I'm gonna pause. Oh, okay. I'm only gonna ask one person to share if that's okay, because I know we're a little 7:30. Next time I'm not gonna ask y'all in any icebreakers. We're just gonna get right into it, okay? No hot cocoa talk, because I realize we're a little a little far behind. So I'm sorry about that. But if one person could share, what is an organization your branch has collaborated with in the past?
I'll put it in the email.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Oh, I see Tara has her hand up.
I think I'll share that something that was a game changer for us being able to quickly recruit people and grow our numbers was to find a space that we could have our regular meetings in. And so there was kind of like a 6 months to 8 months period where we were basically kind of through our networks, seeing what kind of value we could add to an organization, and then basically barter for use of their space once a month. And so we went with Women's Institute for Freedom of the Press. And it's been so important because they were like mission aligned. And then also we brought a lot because they had this underutilized space. They gave us a lot, obviously, because they have a kitchen and we can like cook food to make it like more affordable. So that was, I think, probably like the best move in terms of recruitment, because actually a lot of people I think are tired of Zoom calls, and if we can start to give people that space, it'll really set us apart.
Absolutely. And that's very important to have a home base. So thank you so much for sharing. Barbara, I see your hand up.
Yeah, we have worked with Code Pink and with the Quakers quite a bit. And now that major issues are around Middle East things, we've affiliated with Arizona Alliance for Peace and Justice.
Love it. Thank you. And Jan?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention Food and Water Watch has been a great group for us to collaborate with. We have a lot of the same interests. We have, women in our branch that are have a farm background or that are just very concerned about the environment. Carolyn, for instance, is on the call. She's on the city's sustainability task force. But anyway, our the relationship with Food and Water Watch, they go very deep into the relationship. Their organizer here has joined our branch. She attends a lot of our meetings. They have helped us with some grants. Help us with ideas to table on. We, table around some of their material, et cetera. So it's just been a really, really, really deep and good relationship, I think.
That's lovely.
Yes, and hello, this is Lori Jones, the Des Moines branch. We also, besides Food and Water Watch, was Jan Cordeman was talking about, we also were co-sponsors with the Catholic Peace Ministry for a wonderful peace conference. We had about 75 people back on October 19th, and we had speakers from Massachusetts Peace Action. We had, tell me what the name of the woman was. The woman, Jan.
Kathy Kelly.
President.
Kathy Kelly.
Oh my gosh, yes, it was wonderful. We had Veterans for Peace from a town in Iowa, and it was a wonderful event with the Catholic Peace Ministry, WILF. Yes.
Well, and a gentleman from Gaza that has started he lives in Iowa City now. He grew up in Gaza, lives in Iowa City now, and he's got a got an organization that he started to support Gaza. Yeah, thanks, Laurie. That was a
Yeah.
good event.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. The organizations you all named are fantastic and really wonderful. And thank you for folks who added into the chat as well. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to go to the next slide. Okay, 7:07. We're doing good. We're doing good. I promise I will give you all your evening back at 7:30. I promise. Well, 7:30 my time, 9:30 your time. Anyway, so we're going to talk about some personalized approaches to or some other outreach strategies that involve personalized approaches. One of the things we're going to do next month is not a bring a friend campaign, but relational organizing is really, I mean, it's in all of your blood at this point. You all have been doing this for decades. So I want us to tap into our networks and see if there's anyone we can encourage who might be able to invite friends or families to the meetings at their next event. So, oh, did I miss something? Oh, also, yeah. One last thing I wanted to say was for networking, I apologize to go backwards, was that the introduction kit as well can help your branch members become their own networkers. It can help them develop their own skills on how to network. Just wanted to mention that as well, that it's a great way to be able to help them develop their skills too. Okay, back to the personalized approaches. Bringing a friend to an event, have everyone's entry point to come in is they have to bring one person to come in. We're doing that for the Sacramento potluck happening this Saturday. It's something where we're just going to try and see if we can get some new members by having a friend of a friend come by. Storytelling nights, something I know it's very fun. Storytelling nights is something I think all of you have within you too. You all have incredible stories to share. And I'm wondering what it would look like to have a personalized approach around storytelling and creating an event where members can share their personal stories about how Wilf's mission resonates with them. And then also follow-up practices. So how do we develop a system for personally following up with event attendees, thanking them and inviting them to get more involved? Every time you speak with someone, there should be an ask at the end. Of course, not every time. Sometimes the conversation is just a thank you so much, and that's fine too. But every time you're meeting someone new that you want to be involved, you should always have an action item for them, a time for them to come to another meeting, an ask to be at a tabling event, something for them to possibly be a part of. It's imperative to have them come back into the fold. So follow-up practices, keeping things going is really important. And folks, you feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about that, because it's really imperative that you find a system that works for you, where someone reaches out to them after you meet them at a table, at an event. Someone has to reach out. Okay, we're not going to ask any questions. I'm going to move on to the next slide. I'll ask for questions later. Okay. And I know Tara just said people are tired of Zoom meetings. I feel that. Okay. I understand that. It's really nice for us to offer a hybrid option. But we also want to ensure too that we are providing spaces for both. It's okay to question whether the event that you're putting on is even really possible to be hybrid. If it's something that you're just not sure of, where you feel like it's better if it's like more intimate that way, that's okay. But it's great to offer those hybrid options. At some point in the next few months too, I will be offering a part of a workshop where you can kind of be able to find a hybrid way at a cheaper price. Because I know there's so many parts that go with it. A microphone, being able to pass that around so people can hear you on Zoom, having a video to also have you being recorded, or the people who are speaking. It can get costly. So I want to try to find ways for folks to provide these diverse hybrid meetings that are accessible, but also a little cheaper. And then also multilingual materials. If you have someone on your team who could be able to translate key materials for folks in your community, that is wonderful. A lot of the work that I do in Arizona has to be included in Spanish and in English, because there's a lot of folks who speak both, and it's imperative that you provide both options if you can. Just another thing that possibly you could do.
Oh, could I throw a quickie in then?
Of
AI,
course.
the AI will do a great job on making English into Portuguese, probably other languages. But I suggest you ask somebody who really knows the other language to double check. Thank you.
Very reasonable. I did not know that about AI. I have tried AI from English to Spanish and it did not go according to plan. So I'm happy that Portuguese is a better language for
Well,
AI.
I actually didn't use AI. I thought this was before AI got really popular. It was wow, it was before COVID, for heaven's sakes. I just put it within Google. There's
Yes.
a translator in our computer system. Any language you can think of, it seems. And I passed out these initiatives on or these pieces of information on public banking. No one groaned and saying, "What is this?"
Yeah. I've seen those before and I've used them too. I see Lenny's hand up.
As a person who does a lot of translating, it's okay to start there if you have to, but AI does not understand context and it makes horrible errors. And I want to second what Shelby said about not using it as your sole source of translation. It's bad.
It can be difficult and maybe not, yes, especially with the context. I also want to say as well that multilingual materials is definitely not like imperative to a branch. It is not on the responsibility of a branch member to be offering their second language skills to translate all of the key materials that you have. It is not something that has to be done whatsoever. It's within the full comfort range of the person you might be asking to do something like this. And even if they wanted to offer, it's really up to you. Sometimes multilingual materials can be important, but also they don't have to be used for everything. For example, working in different communities in Arizona, sometimes we'll bring multilingual materials when we're going to Guadalupe or when we're going to, really anywhere else. But then if you're going to like, and truthfully, it does not mean that Spanish speakers don't exist in these areas, but it's less likely you're going to counter a Spanish speaker, fluent especially in a place that's like Peoria or Paradise Valley, something that's farther north. Might not be the same effect. Doesn't mean that it's not possible, but it's not always needed everywhere. And it's best for you to kind of gauge where are the best spaces in which multilingual materials could be beneficial. Barbara, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to suggest if you have a college or university with international students, very often they will be happy to do translations for you. And if you can give them a little bit of money because some of them have trouble affording their tuition, that is another link to people.
Yes, it's very nice to support students, especially in the international departments. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to skip this page because I think that y'all already really know this too, and that's perfectly fine. The only thing I will say is that I have been advocating for branches to really think local about some of the things that they want to work on this year. I think that y'all have done so much, and there's so many things in this world to change. If you focus on everything, your head would explode. There is no way you can do everything. That's possible. So I really encourage branches to think more local and what are some things that are directly impacting the communities that they serve in the area, just as much too, and also thinking internationally and abroad for our folks who are going through really, really hard positions in Gaza and Palestine. And we can consider all of those things. I encourage folks as well to be able to think locally. What are some ways that we can find what are some ways that we can support folks locally as well? So multiple options here, but just encouraging folks to think of both. Okay. So any other questions before I move on? I know I went through a lot. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna head over to the next slide then. So all those things I really mentioned are more external, like what are things that the branch members can do to be able to recruit new members. But kind of like I started with in the beginning, there are some things that internally that the branch should be working on with the current members that could really benefit them and create a strong branch when folks are recruited. They have a really strong place to go. So we're going to transition over to those internal methods now. in the rest of this session and then next week, or not next week, next month on the second Wednesday. So we're going to talk a little bit about that homework from the last branch meeting. I imagine you all did it. So I imagine you all did it, and it was wonderful. So for folks who did think a little bit more about this, put it in the chat. What is an ideal news headline regarding your organization, regarding the branch or the organization you work for, you would read 5 or 50 years from now? What do you want to be newsworthy? Oops, sorry. What do you want to be newsworthy about your organization, and what goals would you like to achieve? I know I saw some people, folks emailed them to me, so I really, really, really appreciate it. I know I got some from Virginia before I started them. Virginia, I might head into my email and read the read the one that you sent me, if that's okay. And if you're just thinking about it now, that's okay. What are some of the things? 30 active members. Fantastic, Laura. That's awesome. Oh, thank you, Virginia. That we are always active on critical social justice issues. Wouldn't it be great if both leaders got interviewed as talking heads in mainstream news interviews? Yes, it would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. That we are known for the positions we take and the actions we do. Love it. The actions as well, talking the talk and walking the walk. If anyone else wants to share too, I know some of you emailed them to me and I really appreciate that, but feel free to put them in the chat because this leads me to the next part of the internal session, which is for each branch to create their own vision statement for themselves. Now I know there is a WILF vision statement for the entire US national team that obviously we all should follow. Oh, thank you, Tara. Each branch has a group house that gives free, deeply affordable housing to members who are experiencing housing. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. I know this is the world we will be able to create. I know it. So things like this are exactly why I brought up vision statements, or exactly why I want folks to start thinking about what's the dream. I'm going to go into a little bit about vision statements and how to create an effective one for you. And like I said, I know that there is a vision statement for WILF, one that we follow dearly, but I wonder how inspiring it would be for the branch members to get together and create their own vision statement that they have for the community that they serve and for the entire world. It can be very rewarding to create a new vision statement that internally reflects the values and principles of the branch members as something to come back to whenever you have hardship, whenever you have to mediate a conversation. It is something that you can base all your decisions on in the future. It's something that's fun and collaborative for the whole branch group that can kind of bring folks back into the fold. So I'm going to talk for a second about how to create an effective vision statement for the next couple minutes. And then next month, we'll get more into it, but I have homework for you again. So sorry. I guess I just keep giving out homework. I did really want to be a teacher. I really did. But I just never did. I just ended up organizing. So now I'm finally living my dream of giving you all homework at a time where you probably don't want any homework. So you're welcome. Anyway. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on. So I'll just start off by saying our goal, I like oh, me too, Virginia, that's a great statement right there. Everyone wants to read it in the chat. So our goal in life, hopefully, is to one day no longer exist. That would be wonderful. If we didn't have to keep fighting to stop wars, if we didn't have to keep fighting to create peace in this entire This is, yes, our goal one day is to hopefully never exist and, or not to no longer need to exist. So I want folks to think about a vision statement because this is the world we're trying to create where that would happen. This is the vision that we want to see come true. And I know for some folks in the Boston team, they've received some of this information already before. So thank you so much for going through it again. But a vision statement describes the future that you would like to see if you achieved all of your goals. You have to be audacious, rooted in existing assets and principles, clear, future casting, inspiring and motivating, and purpose driven. Those are some great adjectives or ways to describe what a vision statement can look like. So if you think it's out of reach, and if you think it is way too far away, then you are doing the right thing. As the definition is said, a nonprofit kind of vision statement operates in tandem as well with the mission statement. So the easiest way to think about the difference between the two, there is a vision statement, which is kind of the why, and the mission statement, which is the how. Oh, yes, that is right. Sorry for a second. Vision statement is the why, mission statement is the how. So they're both equally important, but a vision statement, I don't want folks to do, you can always do a mission statement if you want, but I think a vision statement is even more important because it really does inspire the members that you're working with and will also be something that you can come back to in times of hardship where you don't exactly know what's the next step. If whatever decision you make reflects your values of your vision statement, you know you're doing the right thing. Okay. So the last slide for about vision statements, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about this next week, but this is kind of how it's broken up, where you have the organization name or the branch envisions a world where description of what things would look like if you achieved all of your goals. It's two parts. So your branch envisions a world where, and then what the world would look like for you. It can also look like a description of what things would look like if you achieved all your goals, and you could replace the envisions a world where with just vision is. So I'll send this all out to you, but I really would love to challenge all of you to go back to your branch meetings and ask them to maybe work on a vision statement yourself, because it would be really beneficial for you all to think, what is the world I want to see? And then you all can be able to kind of use that as your shining or your northern star as you work in the piece that you're doing. So it is 7:25. I know that it is almost time for us to hop off this call. I don't want to go past 7:30 because I know for folks out there it's so late, especially on the East Coast. So what's next for me? Well, I'll be sending out a visual statement or a vision statement worksheet that folks can bring back to their branches as something to work on in the meanwhile. Next session, we're going to be doing a lot of relational organizing and internal work to think, what is the best way that we can be the strongest? So we're going to talk about what are some roles and responsibilities that branch members can take on to help give out the roles and responsibilities at a pace that is comfortable and also something that's beneficial for everyone. So folks aren't always doing the same thing, and the roles are also interdependent. And then you'll hear from me as well when I see you at the next meeting, which is the second Wednesday of every month, February 12th, at the same time, same place, different Zoom link. It wouldn't repeat it. So you'll receive a different Zoom link from me in the future. I will be sharing these slides out to everyone after the meeting. And I really hope that some of the advice that I gave was useful. I think a couple of them were. I know you all are, professionals here, but I really recommend that folks reach out to Chris Wopeck and get that list of previous members. It can be really beneficial for you. And there's a few other things as well that I mentioned prior that I think are really, really, really beneficial. Looking at the different holidays throughout the year. And then also thinking about the networking with a little kit for everyone to be able to use. So, okay. Oh, I see Eileen's hand is up. I will, first and foremost, does anyone have any questions before we close out? Eileen.
Oh,
This is-
just a comment, quickly. I think Chris is still on vacation. She's in Europe.
Yes.
So if she doesn't respond right away, don't sweat it. Give her a week or 10 days more, okay?
10 days is perfect. Chris should be back after the 15th. So that's perfect.
Shelby, this is Judy Adams. Can you save the chat and send it on to us? There's a lot of information in there.
Of course, of course. I will save the chat and send it to everyone. Yes.
Okay. And I welcome Mario.
Yes.
Hi, Mario.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I appreciate all the work everyone is doing. So I hope I can stay involved a little more. I'm kind of active in so many organizations. It's hard to keep up with you all, but congratulations on all you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mario. It's great to see you in virtually. Kind of.
Mario, the rest of us said where we are. Where are you?
I'm near Sacramento, California,
Cool.
in the burbs here.
Thanks.
Buenas noches a todas.
Muy buenas.
Thank you. Oh, thank you all so much. I am grateful for you all that you came, and thank you all so much for the wonderful comments in the chat. Everything I talked about will be sent out to you all in an efficient 1-pager or 1.5-pager because this is kind of a lot. So I'll work on trying to get it done in a 1-pager. So you just have 1 page of stuff to look at.
Tiny, tiny print.
I know, I'm sorry.
2 pages are fine.
Okay.
Yeah, 2
Whatever.
pages we can get on 1 sheet of paper.
Okay. Whatever Eileen says goes. So 2 pages
No,
it is.
no,
No,
don't
I'm
do
just
that.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Next up is saying 5 pages. No, it's right.
Reasonable. Oh, perfect. It is, I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much. I will be sending out another reminder for February. And just thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it. You all are awesome. And I'll send out everything tomorrow morning, most likely, or a little later. Oh, and if you have any questions still, go ahead. Feel free to stay on. I'll still be here. But thank you all for coming and have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Good night,
everyone.
Get that hot toddy out.
Oh,
Yes.
I have nothing for a hot toddy tonight. It's so sad. Oh my gosh.
There are
It's so
stores,
sad.
bars.
That's true. I'm not leaving though. It's windy. I'm not doing it tonight. Maybe another night. Maybe another night.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Okay, I had 2 questions.
Yes.
So I had 7 o'clock written on my calendar. That was from December 18th. You changed the time to 8 o'clock. Why was that? I was just curious.
Of course, that's a great question. I apologize. So, I didn't know that there was a time created for a program prior to this. So for us, it's called Catalyst for Peace and Justice, but we had another time where it was called One by One We Grow. And we ended up changing the time because the time for 4 p.m. for California folks was during work, and the time for 7 p.m. Eastern time folks, where they were at WILF meetings. So it was kind of like a solution, but I tried to, and I apologize, Diane. I tried to give out as many calls as I could to everyone, but sorry about that. It could have been better communicated.
Well, I saw your later one said 8 o'clock, but I already had 7 on my calendar, so I was here at 7 o'clock. No, before 7, of course. Anyway, the other thing is when you said DI events, what is DI?
Oh, I meant to say DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
I'm saying DI, and I know DEI, but I don't know DI. Okay.
I apologize. Sometimes I talk a little too fast. It was supposed to be DEI.
Mm. Okay, well, those were my two questions, but I didn't think it merited taking anybody's time. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for coming. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. And never again will the time change. It'll always be this for the rest of the session. So thank you so much for working with me.
Everybody else seemed to have no problem with it, so I thought I wouldn't bother, Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
You too.